Steve Dagworthy, who's a former prisoner who now works with current prisoners as a consultant. Steve, thanks very much indeed for joining us. I don't know what you make of this research. Do you think it could be useful in supporting young people and help steer them away from a life of crime?
Yes, I think so. I mean, I think the research is very interesting. I can't say I completely understand it fully, but I think what it leads to is the fact that prisons are defined as areas of punitivity, punishment and rehabilitation. And the fact is, if there is an underlying issue, neurological issue as it may be, then piling on more punishment isn't actually going to solve the problem or turn that person back into a useful member of society, whereas actually we need to look to rehabilitation, and in rehabilitation that's a further understanding of the causes and influences of that individual as to why he or she may have offended in the first place. So I think it's very useful. I think it needs a lot more testing, and I think that it certainly opens a discussion that we need to have.
And it does imply, doesn't it, that the early years are crucial. To what extent do you think that there should be more support around young kids who seem to be having problems early in life? Is there much around now, and what do you think could be done?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the main problems as to why youngsters get involved in crime is mainly down to the social element of where they are and who they're with and their peer pressure, etc. I mean, that leads on to other things. But I mean, most of the guys and girls that we deal with, fell into a life of crime because they had no real opportunity for anything else. I mean, it was a way of earning a living. It was a way of, actually dragging themselves out of where they were. But that is a greater social question. And I genuinely believe that people should be given more opportunity. But an identification such as this, that it links to offending behaviour and it may be a more neurological problem, then that just leads more to the rehabilitative state. But rehabilitation should really start before they go to prison, not when they end up in prison.
Do you think schools could play a role?
Well, they should do, because they're at the coalface of it all, aren't they? I mean, they're seeing these guys every day, these girls and guys every day, and they should be able to spot the signs and not disenfranchise them, exclude them from school at the earliest opportunity to protect all others. I mean, I think it's been proven that exclusion is a root cause of further offending. And that is just telling an individual, it doesn't matter, to be honest, it doesn't matter how old you are, it's just telling an individual you're not worthy, you're not liked, you're not worthy of a space in modern society. So you're pushing them away, and ultimately you're pushing them together to a life where they go, well, if this is how the world views us, and this is how we're going to act. And I think that's the root cause of criminality.
And how useful is research like this in just generally giving a greater understanding of criminal behaviour? And to what extent at the moment there's a certain amount of discretion, isn't there, given to police about whether they put some offender into the justice system or not, whether they decide whether they're likely to be a repeat offender or whether it's just a one-off crime? There is a certain amount of discretion. Could this be useful in informing and educating authorities?
Well, as much as it's useful for education authorities, it's useful to educating society at large. I mean, the fact is that we punish people by putting them in prison. And when they're in prison, we don't rehabilitate them, and we don't rehabilitate them properly because we have little understanding as to what caused the problem in the first place. I mean, there are offender behaviour courses which do work, but the funding is, not to beat the drum of lack of money, but the funding has been cut so badly that it's difficult to get on these courses and to be rehabilitated. But it more lends itself to the wider discussion that needs to be had between a sensible government and the people that they govern as to what kind of prison and punishment and rehabilitation centres they actually want. And the one that we have at the moment is proven simply not to work. So we have to do this. We've got to do this prison thing a little bit different. OK, well, Steve Dagworthy, really interesting to get your take on it. Thanks very much indeed for joining us here this afternoon. Thank you very much.